Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Gilg and I'm the Chief Product Officer of Cloud ERP at SAP. So I'm responsible actually for our core product portfolio with S/4HANA Cloud front and center, of course, but also our finance solutions as well as digital supply chain. So looking at the title here, you might actually think you're in the wrong session. Weren't we supposed to talk about building supply chains for the future, which hopefully will be a much greener one? And now we're talking about tomatoes, so how does that fit together? Well, sometimes, sadly, you can be actually denied of life's simple pleasures. And for me, that actually happened a couple of months ago when I tried to order a sandwich during a trip to London. And I was actually pretty disappointed when somebody told me no when I ordered a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, a BLT, through the room service. And I was told, we are sorry, but we do have no tomatoes. So I wondered what is actually happening or what happened to the tomatoes. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, what could be reasons actually that a product like tomatoes, which in my mind is actually a commodity product, isn't available anymore? And so I thought about a couple of things. First of all, of course, I thought about climate change and how that can impact the crops. I was thinking about soaring energy prices, which apparently had caused in the UK some greenhouses to shut down during the winter. And we know that there continues to be also a shortage of labor, which translates to no truck drivers. And on top of that, we do see a lot of geopolitical reasons now that restrict movements of goods and sometimes even divert them to other countries. And we all know this is a problem that doesn't just exist for food. There are any kind of shortages, and you might experience many of them in your personal life as well. For instance, for car parts, for pharmaceuticals, and even baby formula was a big topic actually last year in the US. And the list goes on and on and on. And this is now what brings us really to the topic of supply chain and supply chain fragility. And the impact of supply chain fragility is hitting all of us. It's certainly not just me and my sandwich. And we are still seeing empty shelves in the supermarkets, and the cost of the grocery items, they continue to rise. And energy, staffing costs, they have risen as well, and they continue to do so in some areas. And certainly the geopolitical events that I mentioned before, they have worsened the situation overall. So the question is now, what do businesses do? And some businesses, for sure, they are struggling to survive. And I understand, that not having tomatoes for my sandwich, that sounds quite trivial. But for a business owner, if you think about shortage of supplies or materials, that can be a question of survival. And COVID has caused a lot of businesses of different sizes from different sectors to have to close up their operations or declare bankruptcy. However, on the other hand, some companies were able to absorb the shock and they were able to bounce back quickly actually by reinventing their businesses and building more robust supply chains. And this is what we really want to look into a little bit, to understand who actually was able to strive even in times of the disruption that we see in the market in the last couple of years. So what specifically did those companies actually do to survive? Well, many of them, they came to us asking for help. They had the idea on how they could maybe reinvent their traditional way of working, but how could they do that? And at the end of the day, the question is, how can technology, or what technology did they need to put in place to enable them to continue to meet the needs of their customers and their employees during the pandemic, for instance? Also, could they actually offer them a different type of service, maybe something even better? And we saw many companies that started to literally reinvent themselves. Whether, for example, they could move to the cloud and create new methods of doing business, from ordering parts online to enhancing their service offerings or utilizing an IoT platform with online technician support for fixing machines. Could they reduce waste or residual quantities by integrating intelligent technologies, for instance, in promotion planning? Or adopting new solutions to address changing needs of customers and employees. And that's just to name a few examples that we heard and that we've seen actually from some of our customers. And customers also continue to look for ways to de-risk their supply chains by creating more visibility into their supply networks. And this visibility, of course, can also help them with their climate action objectives. And this is how we draw now the line actually from supply chains into the topic of of sustainability and the need for sustainable supply chains. And why is that so important? Well, basically, the pandemic has helped to drive changes in customer behavior and attitude, that's for sure. It's not just about managing the end product, but also the origin and its journey, all of it together. And consumers, they are taking more of an interest in understanding how the products they purchase are actually being sourced and shipped. And therefore, businesses are looking into the environmental and societal impact of their supply chains. They actually have to, because on the other hand, you have governments that are being encouraged to register their policies to accelerate the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, the SDGs. So the value at stake here from risk-related sustainability issues can be as high as 70% of earnings. And that's before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization for companies. So you see, it truly does matter. So we know that companies, they do survive change, regulation, and permacrisis. But how do they do it? They actually have to be flexible and they have to be adaptable. And the most successful companies that we have seen are actually not those who resist the change, but those who thrive in change. And they are building the resilience and the recovery mechanism into supply chains that help actually to reduce then the risk. And interestingly, there's a famous quote by Darwin that says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, but those most adaptable to change." So that really fits to what I'm talking about, right? Because guess what? This quote was actually never said by Darwin, yet thousands of presentations probably use this quote. So what's my point? Actually, it only proves another important fact that data is key. And today, more than ever, companies have to trust and they have to have confidence in the data that powers their business. From sourcing to delivery, it is important to build trusted business networks with end-to-end transparency, reliable data, and accountability. And this is also what is driving a huge interest in using artificial intelligence. Not to just see what happened, but actually to plan what might happen. And frankly, this is certainly not the future. This is happening today. So let's talk about building a more sustainable world. At SAP, everything we do, that builds on all the great work that we have done with our customers and with our partners over the past 50 years. And with that expertise, we are geared up to collectively create a sustainable world together. We are acting as an exemplar here as well. SAP has reached carbon neutrality in Q1 2023. And we take also pride in partnering with companies like Westernacher who are leading the way as a carbon neutral company. Also, I'm super proud to tell you that SAP was recently positioned among the leaders in the IDC Sustainability Index for software providers, also in May 2023, in the category Tech as an Enabler. So let's look a little bit into our vision as a company. For SAP, the vision is to enable every organization and every industry to become a network of intelligent, sustainable enterprises. So you can see that sustainability is actually deeply ingrained already in our mission statement as a company. And with 88% of world supply chains networked through an SAP system, I believe we are in a unique position with our partners to enable companies to record, to report, and to act. And with sustainability soaring actually to the top of the priority list for many companies, for the reason I mentioned before, we are seeing a lot of interest in sustainable business practices and outcomes. So therefore, we work, of course, with many of our customers to achieve these goals and to embed also sustainability in their DNA. So let's look into how we support the sustainability transformation actually of our customers. The desire to create a sustainability transformation in the first place comes with its own challenges, and they are multidimensional. And we want to help our customer to tackle actually all of those dimensions. So we do look at this from three different angles. So first one is zero emissions. The second one is how can we reduce waste actually down to zero waste, and then also looking into zero inequality. So we are bringing all this together then in a holistic ESG steering and reporting. So therefore, we do address sustainability topics really holistically across climate action, circular economy, and social responsibility. Why? Because we see that these are interconnected issues, and therefore we must address them actually in unison. They are enabled and brought to the next level through, for instance, our business network, our industry capabilities, our partner ecosystem, and of course, our intelligent business applications with SAP S/4HANA Cloud at the core. And let me give you one example actually from a recent customer, Salzgitter AG. They were founded more than 150 years ago, and they do have a very proud tradition of shaping the future of steel production through innovation. They're now leading the way with the production of what they call green steel. And Salzgitter, they looked for a robust ERP solution that could help simplify and harmonize their complex IT landscape. And they wanted a technology partner that could steer a meaningful change in the steelmaking industry. And I don't have the time, unfortunately, today to go into all the details, but if you would like to learn more, you can also use the QR code here on the slide to listen to the journey they embarked on to reduce their CO2 emissions with the goal to build a sustainable future that is as solid as steel. So let's look into what we are doing with our solution set and especially S/4HANA Public Cloud in the area of sustainability. With everything I'm seeing in the field, and I'm talking with customers a lot, I actually firmly believe that sustainability is a team sport. And played right, we can all be winners in this. But the actions we take today, they obviously shape the future for generations to come. So this is also not something that is optional. And I certainly can't predict the future, but I can confidently state that we can collectively make it more green. And SAP Climate Action Solutions are the basis for the future of carbon accounting. At the heart of the sustainable enterprise is S/4HANA Cloud. And that is our next generation cloud ERP platform. For those of you who've seen it at Sapphire, we have announced the Green Ledger initiative as an integral component of SAP S/4HANA Cloud and a cornerstone in our sustainability portfolio. We believe that sustainability needs to be anchored in S/4HANA Cloud in our core ERP offering because we do manage traditionally already the flow, the value flow, the financial flow in combination with the material flow, and all of those obviously trigger then also, the natural resources, CO2 and so on. And we do want to capture that in the same way we capture actually the financial truth in the ERP system. You will use this system to then actually account for your sustainability. So therefore the Green Ledger is accounting for carbon. So companies can manage and balance their, we call it carbon books. Yeah? It's the same like managing your financials eventually. The ledger also offers then the ability to manage sustainable business data bottom up with actual data on a transactional level. So we're not talking about aggregated data. We're not talking about averages here. We're talking about the actuals that are being produced in terms of emissions and that are actually posted into the ledger itself. Another important component is SAP Sustainable Footprint Management, which is key to calculating the respective footprints and then feed them into the carbon ledger. So you see the solutions that we are building in the sustainability portfolio, they fit together, they work together, and this comes together as one big story with the Green Ledger as a centerpiece. And therefore the Green Ledger will be part of Rise with SAP and also Grow with SAP. SAP S/4HANA Cloud enables a company then to also operationalize sustainability. And that's, I think, really important because I mentioned it earlier. It's not about only reporting. It's also about acting and putting things into action. So it's really about having an organization change how it operates to improve then its footprint and to respond to ongoing climate and societal impacts. And I think that is really important, and that's the power of an ERP system, that it can actually put those insights into action. And then, of course, let's not forget the other hot topic right now, which is closely related, which is business AI. AI could certainly help. And it could have also certainly helped me to get my BLT sandwich, going back to the beginning, especially those tomatoes. Because if I think about it, what could AI do? It could help monitoring the water levels to improve the quality and reduce waste. It could help to make sourcing and packaging more sustainable. It could help to efficiently deliver planning with regards to transportation by identifying available transportation routes. And finally, access to resources using real-time information. That all could have been the answer. So I think there is a lot to be learned in how we can leverage technologies to really drive business outcomes, actually. Not using it for the sake of technology, but really thinking about what business problem can it help us to solve. And you can learn a little more about how SAP and our ecosystem successfully run across industry value chain. We call it from farm to consume, creating efficient processes with AI by visiting sap.com under the industry section there. So we also know actually that seeing is believing, and trying out the software is obviously even better. So therefore, we are offering also 30-day free trials, and I invite you to explore some of the select capabilities actually with guided tours to accelerate your risk resilient and responsible business. Which you can find on our Sustainability Navigator website, also at sap.com. And there you can share your thoughts and engage with us via the sustainability community. And I highly encourage you to do that to really get the dialogue going. So let me wrap it up. At the end of the day, I would like to leave you with something to think about. As we look to the past, actually, the most important learning is not to hope things will return to normal, because they won't. And the world we are living in today, it is our new normal. So therefore, in my mind, we need to embrace that, and we need to act by reinventing ourselves and innovating constantly. And innovation always starts with a leap. So let us make that leap together. Thank you very much for your time, and let the conversation continue.